Of a gas in liquid. Almost all the gases are soluble in water to the different extent. The factors affecting the solubility of the gas in liquid, the first, the nature of the gas and nature of the solvent. It is observed that the easily liquefiable gas is soluble to a greater extent in the water than so-called permanent gases, for example, the hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, etc. So these gases, oxygen, nitrogen, oxygen, which are permanent, they are less soluble in liquid than easily liquefiable gases, so it depends upon the nature of the gas. Second, the temperature. Second factor is the temperature. While increasing the temperature, the solubility of the gases decreases. The solubility of the gas decreases with increase in the temperature. Pressure. The pressure play a very important role. While at a higher pressure, the solubility of the gas is more. More gases are soluble at a high temperature, a high pressure. That can be explained on the basis of the Henry's law. According to the Henry's law, mass of a gas dissolved in a given volume of a liquid at a constant temperature is directly proportional to the pressure in equilibrium with the liquid. This is the Henry's law. Mathematically, you can write the mass is directly proportional to the pressure, and that is equal to the Kp, where m is mass of a gas, as the P is the pressure of gas, and K is the proportionality constant. Proportionality constant. Of a gas in a liquid, we are discussing the effect of the pressure. According to the Henry's law, it further states that at a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas in the liquid is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas. Or we can say the partial pressure of the gas in a vapor phase is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the gas in the solution, and is expressed, the P is proportional to the mole fraction, that is the X, or P is equal to KHX, where the P is the partial pressure, P is the partial pressure, X is the mole fraction, and KH is the Henry's constant. P is the partial pressure, X partial pressure of gas, X is the mole fraction, of gas, and KH is Henry's constant. Significance of the Henry's constant. Significance of Henry's constant. Higher the value of the KH, lesser will be the solubility of, lower will be the solubility of the gas. Or we can say the solubility of the gas is inversely proportional to the KH. Greater the value of the KH, lower the solubility of a gas. This is the significance of Henry's constant. While knowing the value of the Henry's constant, we may decide that whether this gas will be more soluble, highly soluble, or it will be the less soluble. So this is about the Henry's law are significant. Next, application of Henry's law. The Henry's law play a very important role in the production of carbonated beverages. As you know, the carbon dioxide is dissolved under the pressure in the cold drink or in the soda water or in the beer, and the bottles are sealed at a high pressure. Okay, so this is about the production of the carbonated beverages. Next very important use is in the deep sea diving. The deep sea divers are known as scuba. They depends upon the concentration of the liquefied air, like the oxygen and nitrogen they took with them inside the deep sea. And when they breathe in, then the nitrogen and oxygens, they breathe in with a very high concentration, where the oxygen is used in the metabolic process, but the nitrogen remains dissolved in the blood. When they do come up to the normal atmospheric air, then what happens? Then the nitrogen gas bubbles out, and that creates the problems in the nerves of the body, and that causes the sickness known as the blend or decompression. So due to this blendness, this can be utilized, blendness of the body can be removed by diluting the air with helium gas. Which dilute the air, helium gas. Next, in the function of the lungs, as we know, we all breathe in and breathe out. When we breathe in, then the oxygen level in the lungs increases, and that mixed with the hemoglobin of the blood, known as the oxygenated hemoglobin, which go all parts of the body, where they release the oxygen, because in the tissues or the cells the oxygen are low, concentration of oxygens are low. So the oxygenated hemoglobin or oxygenated blood release the oxygen to the body, and with the help of the oxygen we do the metabolic process. So the lungs, in the function of the lungs, this Henry's law plays a very important role. Next, for climbers and the people living at higher altitudes, as you all know, at higher altitude the concentration of the oxygen level is very low, and due to the low concentration of the oxygen at the higher altitudes, the people who lives there, they they utilize the low concentration of the oxygen, and due to this they are unable to work very easily, and that also creates the sickness in the people who are living at the higher altitude, known as एक्स ना कर, उसको क्या बोलते हैं पूरा, हाँ, नोन एज एनोक्सिया। एनोक्सिया, ठीक है। See, solve one problem based on the Henry's law. If the nitrogen gas is bubbled through the water at 293 Kelvin, how many millimoles of the nitrogen gas would be dissolved in 1 liter of water? Assume that the nitrogen exerts a partial pressure of 0.987 bars, given that the Henry's law constant for nitrogen at 293 Kelvin is 76.48 kilobar. Now, as you know, the solubility of the gas is related to the mole fraction of the gas in aqueous solution. So the mole fraction of the gas can be calculated while applying the Henry's law. As you all know, the Henry's law, the P is equal to KH X, or we can say the X is equal to P by KH. The partial pressure of the gas is given, the Henry's constant is given. If you substitute it there, the 0.987 divided by 76,480 bars, that has to be converted from the kilobars to the bars, then you will get the mole fraction, that is 1.29 into 10 to the power minus 5. Now, as 1 liter of water is equal to the 1000 gram of water, because its density is 1, the number of moles of water will be 1000 by 18 gram, and that is equal to 55.5 moles. If N represents the number of moles of the nitrogen in the solution, then the mole fraction of the nitrogen is equal to the number of moles of the nitrogen by the total moles of the solution, number of moles of the nitrogen plus number of moles of the water, and that will be equal to 1.29 into 10 to the power minus 5, because this N which is in denominator is neglected, which is very very small in comparison to the 55.5. So then the N is equal to 1.29 into 10 to the power minus 5 into 55.5 mole, and that is equal to 7.16 into 10 to the power minus 4 mole, which has to be converted into the millimoles multiplied by 1000, and then you will get the 0.716 millimole, and this is the answers of the questions. This question has been solved in the NCERT book. It is the solved questions, so that you can refer from the NCERT book also. Okay. So vapor pressure of the liquid solution. What does the liquid solution means? The solution when the solute dissolve in the liquid, and that solute may be the gas, maybe the liquid, maybe or solid. We have already discussed the solution of the gas in liquid in the Henry's law. Now we will have to discuss the solution of the liquid in liquid and solid in liquid. The solution which contains the two components known as the binary solution. Binary solution, where there is only one solute and one solvent is there, so such solution is known as the binary solution. So what is the vapor pressure? What happens when the liquid or the solution is covered with the jar? Then the liquid is converted into the vapors. means there is the evaporation. But at the same time, the sum of the vapors which are formed is converted into the liquid back. So when the vapor is formed, the pressure of the vapor will exert the pressure, and that is called the vapor pressure. But initially, this vapor pressure will increase and increase. But at the time of the equilibrium, when the rate of evaporation will become equal to the rate of condensation, means the system will reach at equilibrium, then the increase of the vapor pressure will constant. It will not increase, it will remain constant. And that is called the vapor pressure of the liquid or vapor pressure of the solution in equilibrium with the liquid or the solution. So we can define the vapor pressure. It may be defined as the vapor pressure of a liquid or solution is the pressure exerted by the vapors in equilibrium with the liquid or solution at a particular temperature. So this is called the vapor pressure, means the pressure exerted by the vapors in equilibrium with the liquid or the solution at a given temperature is called vapor pressure. Now the factors affecting the vapor pressure. The factors affecting the vapor pressure, the first is the nature of the liquid. The vapor pressure is very much depends upon the nature of the liquid. If the intermolecular force of the attraction between the liquid and liquid is very weak, then the liquids can be easily escapes into the vapors, and that will exert the more vapor pressure. So the liquids which has the weak intermolecular force of attraction, they will exert the more vapor pressure. This depends upon the nature of the liquid. The second is very much depends upon the temperature. As we increase the temperature, the vapor pressure will increase, because while increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the molecules increases. And when the kinetic energy of the molecules increases, because kinetic energy is directly proportional to temperature. So while increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the molecules increases, then the molecules can easily leave the surface of the liquids or the solution and goes to the vapors. So the vapor pressure will increase while increasing the temperature. Okay. The vapor pressure of the liquid solution and the Raoult's law. That is the Raoult's law for a solution of volatile liquids. According to the Raoult's law, it states that for a solution of a volatile liquids, the partial pressure of each component in the solution is directly proportional to the mole fraction of it. According to the Raoult's law, when there is the liquid solution, then it is observed that the partial pressure of each component is directly proportional to its mole fraction. And according to that, if there are the two liquids, two components, A and the B, the liquid solution having the two components A and B. Let's the partial pressure of A is the PA and the partial pressure of the B is the PB. Its mole fraction is represented by the XA and XB. Then according to the Raoult's law, the partial pressure of a component, that is the PA, is directly proportional to the XA, whereas the PB, the partial pressure of the component B, is directly proportional to the XB. And then this partial pressure is equal to P naught A x A, and that is the PB will be equal to the P naught B x B, where as it is said that the PA is the partial pressure of a component A, XA is the mole fraction of the X component A, the XB is the mole fraction of the component B, and the PB is the partial pressure of the component B, where the P naught A and the P naught B, P naught A and the P naught B is the vapor pressure of the pure component A and the B. Vapor pressure of pure component A and B respectively. So this is the Raoult's law. According to that, the partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to the mole fraction. If the total pressure of the vapor of the components is P, if the total pressure is represented by P, then according to the Dalton's law of the partial pressure, the P means the P total will be equal to the PA plus PB, and as you know, the PA is equal to the P naught A XA plus PB is equal to P naught B XB. Further, as you know, the sum of the mole fraction, the XA plus XB will be equal to 1, because sum of the fraction is equal to 1. Then we can say this XA will be equal to 1 minus XB. So in place of the XA, we can write the 1 minus XB, and that will be equal to P naught A 1 minus XB plus P naught B XB, and that is again the P naught A minus P naught A XB plus P naught B XB, and that we can say the P naught B minus P naught A XB plus P naught A. So with the help of it, we can also find it out the total pressure of the vapors in the solution, and that will be equal to P naught B minus P naught A XB, that is XB is the mole fraction of the solute, and the P naught A is the vapor pressure of the component A in pure state. Now, according to that, if you plot a graph between the vapor pressure and the mole fraction, then what we find? When we plot a graph between the vapor pressure and the mole fraction of the components A and the B. Then we find, according to the Raoult's law, the partial vapor pressure of a component A increases with when the mole fraction of the A increases, then the vapor pressure of the A increases because it is directly proportional to A. When the mole fraction of the B increases, then its partial vapor pressure also increases. As we find here, the XA is equal to 1. It means at this stage there is only one component A is there, and its vapor pressure is equal to P naught A. Here the XA is equal to 0 and the XB means the mole fraction of the B component is 1, and this P naught B is the vapor pressure of the pure component B here, because in at this stage there is no A. So according to Raoult's law, the partial vapor pressure of a component is directly proportional to the mole fraction. As we increase the mole fraction, the partial vapor pressure increases. As we increase the mole fraction of the B, the partial vapor pressure of a component B increases. And that we can find out the total vapor pressure, that is the P is equal to PA plus PB. At any stage, we can know what is the total vapor pressure of the solution. This is the Raoult's law. Now, the composition of the vapor phase in equilibrium with the solution is determined by knowing the partial pressure of each component. Now, let's the components again, the A and the B, which is in the vapor phase, and the partial vapor pressure of the A is the PA, the B is the PB. Then the mole fraction in the vapor phase is which is represented by the xi A and the xi B or YB. Then according to the Dalton's law of the pressure, that the xi A will be equal to the PA by PA plus PB, and the xi B will be equal to the PB by PA plus PB, or that is equal to the PA plus P total, and similarly that is the PB by the P total. With the help of this equation, we can find it out, the partial vapor pressure of a component. If you know the total pressure, the PA is equal to the mole fraction in the vapor state into the P total. Similarly, the PB will be equal to the mole fraction of the component B in the vapor phase into the P total. So in general, if there is the I, if the component is represented by the I, so we can say that the I is equal to the PI is equal to xi and P total. So for any components, we can find out the partial vapor pressure if you know the total pressure and its mole fraction in the vapor state. So vapor pressure of the solution of solids in liquid and Raoult's law. Now first we will discuss what will be the effect of adding the non-volatile solute on the vapor pressure of a solvent. If a non-volatile non-electrolyte solute, for example the glucose, urea, they dissolve in the water, then what happens? Then it is observed that the vapor pressure of the solution is less than the vapor pressure of the pure solvent, because at the surface some of the solvent molecules are being substituted by the solute particles, and that's why its escaping tendency of the solvent molecules decreases, and there is the intermolecular attraction between the solvent and the solute, and due to this intermolecular attraction developed at the surface between the solute and the solvent, means the solid solute and the solvent particle, then the vapor pressure of the solution decrease. So always note it down, the vapor pressure of a solution in which the solid is dissolved into the solvent or the solution of the non-volatile component is always lower than the vapor pressure of a pure solvent. This is the effect of adding the non-volatile solute to the solvent vapor pressure. Now, the Raoult's law for a solution of the solids in the liquid, that is for non-volatile solute. So if the solute is non-volatile, means if the solute is, as I said, the non-reacting, non-electrolyte, for example the glucose, urea, etc., then what happens? Then this solid or the solute does not exert any vapor pressure. Only the solvent exerts the vapor pressure. So we can say the vapor pressure of the solution is due to only the vapor pressure of a component A, which is the solvent, means only the solvent component. So that we can say the vapor pressure of the solution will be equal to the vapor pressure of a component which is the volatile, that is the solvent. And according to the Raoult's law, the partial vapor pressure of a component, that is the means the vapor pressure of the solution, will be directly proportional to its mole fraction. So the PS is directly proportional to the XA, and that is equal to the P naught A XA. As I said, the sum of the fractions is equal to 1. It means the XA plus XB is equal to 1. Then this XA will be equal to 1 minus XB. So we can substitute here in place of the XA 1 minus XB, and then it will be the P naught A 1 minus XB, and that we can say is the PS by the P naught A is equal to 1 minus XB, or we can write it in another way, or that is 1 minus PS by P naught A XB, or we can say the P naught A minus PS by the P naught A is equal to XB, where this P naught A minus PS is known as lowering of vapor pressure. As I said, the vapor pressure of the solution will be always lower than the vapor pressure of the solvent. So the P naught A minus PS is called lowering of vapor pressure, and this P naught A minus PS divided by the P naught A is called relative lowering of vapor pressure. Relative lowering of vapor pressure. So we can define the Raoult's law when one of the component is non-volatile, the relative loading of vapor pressure is equal to the mole fraction of the solute. This is the Raoult's second law. So there are the two laws. First is when there is the liquid-liquid solution, means both the components are liquid, and other one is when one of the component is liquid and one of the component is the solid. Clear? Now the Raoult's law as a special case of the Henry's law. As we have already discussed, when there are the two components and both the components are the liquids, the liquid solution, then according to the Raoult's law, the partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to its mole fraction. For example, if there is the component A and the B, then partial pressure of the A is directly proportional to the XA, and the partial pressure of the B is directly proportional to the XB, or that is equal to P naught A XA, and this is equal to P naught B XB. And whereas you know already discussed, this is the PA is the partial vapor pressure of component A, and the P naught A is the vapor pressure of pure component A, and XA is the mole fraction. Mole fraction of A. Similarly, this PB is the partial pressure of the component B. The P naught B is the vapor pressure of the pure component B, and this XB is the mole fraction of the component B. So this is according to the Raoult's law. What the Henry's law says, that the partial pressure of a vapors is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Henry's law also stated the same thing, that is the partial vapor pressure of a component is directly proportional to its mole fraction. That is the P is directly proportional to the X, and that is equal to KHX, where KH is the Henry's constant. Now, if you will see the Raoult's law and the Henry's law, then you will find in both the cases, both stated that the partial vapor pressure of vapors or the partial vapor pressure of a component is proportional to the mole fraction of the component. Only they differs in the constant. According to the Raoult's law, the constant is, proportionality constant is P naught A, that is the vapor pressure of the pure component A, and according to the Henry's law, that is the KH, that is the Henry's constant. This is the only difference between the Raoult's law and the Henry's law. And that is why it is said that The Raoult's law is the special case of Henry's law.